Hello friends, I am so excited to be back and doubly excited to be sharing with you a pantry makeover, specifically with the creation of a butler's pantry. Let's jump right in. In 1964, this was the original pantry added on to the back of the garage. This is what the pantry looked like pretty much when we started renting, other than the fact that we did texture and paint over the cheap paneling. The cabinetry just has a coat of the original white primer from the 60s. This rickety little cabinet was built out of scrap lumber, and the top is made from part of an old door. This tall built-in cabinet holds most of our canned and dry goods and could use a lick of paint. Here is a look at the pantry from the other direction with the kitchen door closed. In the fall of 2022, we did our very first makeover on this pantry. We needed more storage, and I found this lovely standing cabinet on Marketplace for $50. Our goal for this first makeover was to make a space that was more functional and more attractive. That shaky cabinet you see right in front of me there, we painted green and then added some decor. I think this first version of our pantry makeover has a very Tasha Tudor country type feel to it. We've enjoyed this space for the last 3 years, but since we are remodeling the rest of the garage, it has given us an opportunity to switch things up even more. Here are some inspiration images I've collected from Pinterest. These are the kinds of things that I want to incorporate in this next pantry makeover. A little bit more of a built-in look, different hardware, storage that looks like a butler's pantry, and somewhere to store all of the tea party dishes. I also want to try out a new paint color on the cabinets. Okay, here we go. We're prepping to paint the cabinets first. We've got the washer and dryer disconnected. We tried really hard this time to come up with a complete list of materials so we could spend as little time running to the hardware store and as much time working on the project as possible. This is one of those projects that we have to fit in around both of our work schedules, so it's a little bit challenging, but I'm sure you all are very familiar with that. This part of the home has never been connected to the HVAC system, so it's always very warm in the summer and very cold in the winter. So we will be adding a mini split head to the back wall, which means removing the entire set of cabinets that were in that corner there. And here you see, we've got the mini split installed and we're beginning to touch up on the ceiling and the walls. Paint is going to play a big part in transforming this space, and that is where we plan to start. For the cabinets in here, I want to try a very soft green, kind of a celery green color. It is called Koi Pond by Sherwin-Williams. This color, Koi Pond, is a little less intense than the pesto paste I've used elsewhere in the house, and it's a little more colorful than the neutral universal khaki that we've also used in the house. So, it's kind of a mid-ground between the two, and I'm very curious to see what it looks like once it's dry. That's one of the biggest things I've learned about painting cabinets or walls for that matter. Don't go off of the wet color. Just hold your nerve and wait till it's dry. This isn't the best lighting since it's dusk, but I'm really liking what I see. It's a little more colorful than a neutral, but definitely a subdued color compared to the strong green I have elsewhere. I think it's more sophisticated. Anyway, next project. From the dining room and kitchen, the first thing you see stepping into the pantry is this door which covers the furnace. It looks really cheaply made, and sure enough, as we began getting into it, it is. That whole middle panel is just faux cardboard paneling stuff that was painted. So we would like to make it a little more substantial with some leftover tongue and groove we had from our kitchen project, and then paint it out and make it look more like custom cabinetry. The great thing about this project was we had everything on hand except the tube of caulk. Since this door is directly adjacent to the doorway into the dining room, which is painted in universal khaki, we decided to do these doors and the back door in universal khaki as well. And I think it makes the cabinets stand out a little bit more. For another nod towards custom looking cabinetry, we're going to add the same corbels that we used in the kitchen. I just love how these automatically just upgrade cabinetry so easily. We only had a spot for 2 corbels, so it really wasn't that expensive of an addition. If any of you own older homes, you know that nothing is square, so we do have a bit of a crack to fill in here.
It's kind of a tight squeeze in there, huh?
Do your best and caulk the rest. Once the caulk was dry, I came in with a small hand brush and painted these corbels to match the cabinets. For any of you that are curious, the color on the walls is ivory lace, the same as what we've used in the kitchen. After painting the corbels, I painted the back door. All the paint colors for this project will be listed in the description box below. I just love how well the universal khaki, the koi pond, and the ivory lace play so well together. Here is a look at the furnace door, the water heater door, and the back door all completely finished. It may sound funny, but I think these 2 doors being rebuilt is probably what ended up being my favorite part of the project. Matt said, in his opinion, the thing that elevated our pantry the most was when we swapped out the hardware.
Oh my goodness.
These are so pretty. I found these simple brass handles on Amazon, and I will have them linked for you below if you're interested. We are beginning to see our vision for the pantry coming to life. Remember that rickety old cabinet with the door for the countertop? See how shaky? We did end up saving the hardware and mixing it in with the handles that we got from Amazon. It's nice to have a mix and to have something that you can reuse and save a little bit on the budget. So we are planning something special for right here in the corner beside the tall built-in pantry. I haven't said anything up to this point because it's a surprise. I saw something on Pinterest and I was intrigued to see if it would work in our space. And I showed Matt and he said, yeah, I think that'll work. So he got started with some very specific measurements and then just started sawing away at the sheetrock. Besides incorporating the mini split to make this area more comfortable year-round, we also wanted to make it a lot more functional and, as we have said, more custom looking. And this project meets all those requirements. I do have to say that the more projects we do, the braver we get at just jumping in and trying something. We found that our space was just a little too small, and the framing inside this wall was very strangely done. It was off center and there were extra studs. So, poor Matt, he had to get out the big guns and saw through the stud. Have you guessed what we're installing yet? If you guessed a wall-mounted ironing board, you're right. I saw this on Pinterest and then found it on Amazon, and I absolutely love it. Not only does it fold down, but it swivels to one side or the other so you're not impeding traffic in a narrow spot, which is exactly what we have. Matt's careful measurements and hard work pay off. The wall mount cabinet slides perfectly into place. Isn't this so cool? Those shelves are perfectly wide enough to store my iron and starch. The next step is to attach the door and then paint it in the green koi pond to match the other cabinets. You might just spot the old hardware we used on the pantry and the ironing board cabinet. Okay, and our final project for this whole makeover is to create more storage in this corner. There's the mini split, and to the left there was a whole double bank of cabinets there that we had to remove, leaving us with this awkward little stair step hole. So we're going to add a shelf. More measuring, a little cutting, a little gluing. My idea for this corner is to create a space to store the microwave, since I don't like seeing it in the kitchen and really don't want to give up the counter space. Initially, I thought of creating a coffee bar in this area, and you'll see that I do play with that at the styling in the end, but it practically is just too far from the kitchen and there's not a water source. Matt and I both thought it would be a good idea, since this shelf is right at eye level, to round off that sharp point. Once the shelf was installed, I painted it koi pond to match the rest of the cabinetry, and we promptly both knocked our heads on it. So plan B was to go ahead and cut it back farther at an angle. This actually ended up being the best plan in the end, since we added a piece of trim and that curve would have been impossible to cover with trim. We also cut a hole in the top and in the side of the cabinet below, so the microwave could be put on the top and the wiring run beneath to the outlet. We found this trim at Home Depot, and it had just the most whimsical little leaf pattern that I just loved. It adds a personal touch, and it's just so pretty. Being that we only needed one piece of it, it was still economical and really made a difference in this corner. We are getting close to the end of this project, and we have a short punch list of things to do. For me, one of them is to paint this countertop, and I want to differentiate it from the rest of the cabinetry, so I'll be using a different color than koi pond. We're getting close. I can see our Butler's pantry emerging from the long, dark, dingy hallway that this used to be. To add a little bit of substance and weight to this corner of the pantry, I decided to go with espresso from Bear. It looks like a very dark stained wood and just adds a bit of polished elegance. With the magic of editing, let's step back in time and look at how these cabinets were organized before the makeover. The makeover gave me an excellent opportunity to reevaluate, reorganize, and purge every single cabinet and drawer in this space. And I must say, we got rid of so much. I see empty space. I see things beginning to be grouped together in categories that actually make sense, although it's still jumbled and it would be very hard to access if I wanted to use these things. But it's better. Just wait till you see the after. For more organization and efficiency in space, I wanted to hang the teacups from the shelf above. This also would protect them from falling over and getting broken. I found these slide-on cup hangers on Amazon, and once again, I will have them linked for you below. Installation was simple. Peel off the adhesive, slide the hook into place, and then press the sticker firmly to the shelf above. I've been really pleased with how these have worked. They haven't sagged at all. They've remained in place, and they have made it easy to reach my cups and the saucers below. So anytime I want to have a tea party, I can just pull exactly what I need. And it looks pretty. Believe it or not, this pantry makeover took us many weeks to accomplish, and we are now finished. I'm to the place where I am styling, putting in the baskets, organizing everything, and getting ready to take pictures. And friends, here is the after. Besides the makeover, I also wanted to give you an organization tour. This side over here is directly above the washer, so it holds all the cleaners and necessary household things like light bulbs. And here, this cabinet and the one following are the two that I call the Butler's Pantry. Not only is everything purged down to what I absolutely adore, but it's grouped according to uses, and all of it is immediately accessible. I'm curious to know what part of this makeover, the organization, the tools, the paint colors, was most interesting or inspiring to you. Please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. The next cabinet to the left, the Butler's Pantry, holds all of our large appliances that we use on occasion, and it sits directly above the oak cabinet, which holds our bulk dry goods. I'll spare you that last hanging cabinet. It just holds boring things like paper goods and paper towels. The tall bank of cabinets holds Matt's tools for the painting business. And here is the little corner that I'm still styling as a coffee area for now. Besides paint and hardware, the only thing that changed in this cabinet was a bit more organization with these seagrass baskets that I got from Amazon. I very carefully measured width and height so that I could create specific zones for things that always go together, like extra baking supplies and cookie cutters. Now let's enjoy the styling and the pretty stuff, which is, if you ask me, the icing on the cake. I know it's nothing new, but it still amazes me every single time, the transformative and unifying power of paint. Stepping from the dining room into this room, it feels like a perfectly natural flow, as if it has always been this way and it's a part of the house, a room that you actually enjoy and want to be in. Sometimes it's these forgotten places in our homes, entryways, walkways, hallways, that have a magic. They do transport you from one space to another that generally gets a much more focused attention in the design world. But these little nooks and crannies can be so charming when some attention is given to them. This sightline from the back of the pantry is now one of my favorite views in the house. There's the Monet print I thrifted at the end of the hallway, the beautiful custom-built doors, and then an alluring peek of antique plates in the kitchen that you just gotta go see. Friends, I hope you have thoroughly enjoyed this makeover and pantry tour. I'll leave you with just a few before and after pictures. Have a great week. And until next time, take care.